Hey guys, welcome back to Tech Talk Fridays with Jamie from Intelligent Home. If you happen to have caught me randomly for a few minutes there on an alternate feed, apologies for that. A little bit of technical drama brought about by the Facebook and Instagram outage of yesterday. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about one of the most popular products that sort of people come to see us about, which is security cameras or CCTV cameras. If you did catch the first few minutes of the last broadcast, apologies for me repeating myself. Welcome back, by the way. If you're new to our Tech Talk Fridays, welcome along. Thanks for tuning in. Like I say, so today we're going to talk about CCTV, super popular category at the moment, lots of options out there, lots of people looking at using security cameras either as their only security method or complementing to their alarm system. So I just thought I'd run through some of the differences between, I guess, the couple of major types or styles of security cameras. In effect, you've got, I guess, two different sort of solutions. You've got the, I guess, what you would call semi-commercial type solution that we've been supplying and installing now for a number of years. And you've got the slightly more, I guess, retail off-the-shelf type solutions from the likes of Ring, who we're a dealer for. You've got lots of other products out there from Amazon, from Netgear, Swan cameras, things like that. So there's a couple of different solutions. Thought I'd talk a little bit about some of the differences between them, the pros and cons. And the idea here is to give you guys some ammunition and some tools to make some good educated buying decisions if you're looking at investing into security camera solutions. So I thought I'd start off with a little bit of, I guess, the pros and cons, some of the differences between the systems and where their strengths and weaknesses maybe are. And a lot of these things are going to be relevant to you and your intended use and what's important to you out of your security system. So I guess firstly, with the hardwired solutions that we've been supplying and installing for a number of years, you go back in time, 10 plus years, and these were analog camera systems connecting to an analog recorder. Nowadays, they're digital, what we refer to as IP cameras. And the IP cameras go back to a NVR or a network video recorder for storage of the footage. So it's all stored locally, easily accessible on smartphones, tablets, TVs, that kind of thing. And I guess the other option is the Ring style solution, which could be hardwired for power, could be battery powered, could communicate on Wi-Fi, could communicate on a hardwire cable, lots of different options available. The major difference with these guys, of course, is that they're typically recording to the cloud, recording to the internet. So straight away, one of the major differences is if your internet goes down, this guy can keep recording for you locally to its recorder, where this guy's going to have a bit of a hard time because without the internet, it can't record. So now some of them will have backup solutions and memory cards and that kind of thing. So definitely just do a little bit of research into the products that you're looking at. Make sure that that's not going to be a problem for you in your scenario. One of the other big things, I guess, one of the big things that a lot of cameras are judged by, this is cameras on your mobile phone, cameras that you go to the park and take photos with if you're a professional photographer. Same goes for CCTV, is megapixels. Most people are of the understanding that the more megapixels, the better. It's not quite that simple, but it's a good starting point to gauge how a camera is going to behave. So the more megapixels you have, the idea is that the clearer image you could get, or the further you could zoom in, or the closer bit of detail you could get. So that number plate might be a little bit clearer. The cameras that we sell and supply currently are a 6 megapixel camera. Go back in time, literally a couple of months, they were a 4 megapixel. So this is a constant evolution of the technology in the camera. So currently the ones we're supplying and installing are all 6 megapixel. When you look at a lot of the off-the-shelf solutions, you'll find them being advertised as HD or high def or full high def, which oftentimes will work out to 1.5 or 2 megapixels of image resolution. Might be fine for your scenario if you don't have a big yard. If you're just looking at a smaller area, that might be fine. So we've got a question here from Warren. What about storage capacity? Okay, so on the hardwired ones, the recorders, they will come with a hard drive, much like your computer or your laptop. So we need to specify a hard drive that gives you the right amount of storage. A little bit of maths to be done. How many cameras will there be? What recording length do you need? And we can work out what sort of hard drive would best suit your scenario. Most of our systems will come standard with a 2 or a 3 terabyte hard drive, which, depending on how many cameras you have, will give you sort of 5 to 10 days of rolling footage, assuming we're recording around the clock. These guys work on a cloud subscription service. Different products like Ring, different products like Alarm.com treat them slightly differently, depending on what sort of payment structure you're having. Some of them will be, X amount of dollars per month will get you X number of recorded clips per month. Others will allow you a certain amount of minutes or whatever the case. So that'd just be a check on your product, see whether the recording capacity that it offers you is good enough for you. So back to the image resolution. So the megapixels during the day, you'll find make less of a difference than at nighttime. So if you were to go to the park with your kids or your pets and take a photo with your phone, kids running around at the park, take that same photo with a higher end, more professional style camera, you look at them on the big screen and they're both going to be fairly similar, right? Even though one's maybe got more megapixels than the other or whatever the case should be. The challenge, and we've all seen this, is at nighttime. So when you take a photo with your mobile phone at night, you often find the image isn't as good as someone who's using a more dedicated camera who's set up for that scenario. And the same can be said for these. So our cameras have the little infrared illuminator down here. Think of it like a torch. It's shining a torch of invisible light out into the front yard to try and shed some light on the subject matter. Whereas a lot of the products like these guys, they don't have that infrared light torch facility. So they use other technical sort of ways of improving the image quality at nighttime. And look, in testing, more often than not, we find that the detail at nighttime is greater with products like these than it is with products like these, just down to the nature of how the products are made. The next, I guess, major point to consider would be wired versus wireless. So wired, all of our cameras by default are hardwired. They use a data cable, a Cat6 cable. They're usually powered across that cable. It's referred to as PoE, or power over Ethernet. This particular model out of Ring works the same way. You can run a little data cable in the back here and plug it in, and it works in exactly the same way. But there are other options that are wireless. So typically that would mean they communicate on Wi-Fi. Whether or not they're powered over a cable, slightly separate discussion. With anything that's wired, obviously, as soon as the camera sees it, it records it. As soon as it's on the recorder, you can see it, and it's all sort of live in real time. With the wireless ones, there's always the associated risks of wireless. There's always the chance the wireless could drop out. If your Wi-Fi outside your house is not rock solid, then that introduces a slight risk to your security system. You've also got to consider, with the wireless ones that are going out to the cloud, you've got to consider, is there a potential for delay, given the strength of my Wi-Fi, given the speed of my internet, for that image to be captured by the camera, sent up to the cloud, and then made available to be watched on my device? Now, most of the manufacturers will tell you that there's little to no delay, and I'm sure in perfect world conditions that's the case. But just be mindful, if you sometimes struggle to watch Netflix in high resolution, or your YouTube videos sometimes pause and buffer, and you're inside the house, I guess just have a think about how well is a video product going to work outside the house. One last major point to consider, I guess, is weatherproofing. Most cameras these days are what's known as IP weather rated. So they are protected or rated against sunlight, dust, rain, splashes of water, that kind of thing. What it's harder to gauge is their, I guess, resilience to coastal conditions. So a lot of the cameras that we've been installing, we install them in a lot of coastal residents, and they tend to last a really long time, and they work really, really well. A lot of the cameras we sell are IP66 rated and sometimes greater. Whereas a lot of the more off-the-shelf products are not necessarily rated as high. So again, just a part of your buying factor, if you're in a coastal area, if other parts of your home, when you were buying your house or building your house, if you had to make special allowances for your window frames, door handles because of the coastal conditions, consider that for any technology that may be going outside your home as well. So I guess the last big one is pricing. So pricing is one of those things that it's obviously relevant to everybody. Our cameras, to give you an idea, our sort of go-to price on this is somewhere between $250 and $300, supplied and installed, programmed up, assuming you've already got the relevant cable in play. The retail price on the Ring product here on their website is $319. Again, you may already need to have a cable in play for that to work, and they do have other battery-powered options. So camera to camera, not a lot of difference in price, which is good. With this guy, though, you've got to buy the recorder. So our standard 4-camera recorder starts from roughly the $850 mark off the top of my head, and that's obviously supplied and installed and running. Whereas these guys, you need to subscribe to a cloud storage platform. So that'll be a monthly fee, $15 a month, something like that. They may give you a price break if you subscribe on an annual basis. Just check with your product's manufacturer on that. So I guess you've just got to consider with this one, there's a higher upfront cost in buying the recorder than there is with this. Long term, over the life of the product, it probably equals out over the first couple of years. The very last part, I guess, will be the storage mediums. So the difference between using cloud storage versus using the local storage of the recorder. And I think for a lot of people, the really major difference here comes down to what happens under different conditions. So in the event of a power outage or a power blackout altogether, they'll both be offline. They both rely on power. So without power, they're not going to work. That's the easy part. I guess the big difference is without internet, this guy can't reach out to the cloud and do its recording. Whereas without internet, this guy still talks to its recorder, still records like normal, and you would be able to, when you get home, log in and check out the footage. So if the reliability of the internet in your area is not as high, maybe just put that on your consideration list as well. Guys, that's pretty much me. I've probably gone a little bit over time. Again, apologies for the delay and the technical snafu at the beginning there. A couple of last little notes. Our Sonos competition has now officially ended. We will be announcing the winner next week. So if you joined or entered that competition, keep an eye on your inbox. That announcement will be coming out next week. As I mentioned last week, if you are tuning in live or if you're watching later on and you have any suggestions or any questions that you might like me to cover in future Tech Talks, give us a comment or contact us here at Intelligent Home. We're happy to take on all your considerations and see what we can come up with. So thanks again. Have a great weekend coming up, and I'll catch you guys next week. Cheers.